And we're back.
Thank you very much for joining, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody.
One more time?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay.
No, that's it.
We're not doing threes today?
No,
Well,
no.
thank you, everybody,
No,
for joining
that's
us.
good.
That's three.
Yes, my name is Donovan.
I'm Colin.
Of course, this is Salt of the Streets, episode 145.
Yeah, we haven't even started drinking yet.
It's a beautiful day. We have some beautiful pale ales that we're going to start flowing here very soon.
Yeah, the pixelated pale. Whoop, there we go. The camera seems to be facing another direction. But
Again from Portland.
it's all messing me around.
Again from a delicious brewery that I went to last weekend that had some food trucks outside. I had some great tacos, some barbacoa tacos, and some chicken.
Barbacoa.
Yes, chicken
Barbacoa.
tacos. It was fantastic.
I'm looking this brewery up.
It's called Level Beers.
There we go.
Yeah,
Level
great.
beer. Huh.
There you go. Of course, I want to remind you to like, subscribe, comment, share this with all your friends, tell everyone about it so we can spread the message of liberty and freedom as far as possible. You can find all this at saltofthestreets.com, including our Instagram and the YouTube, all at Salt of the Streets, and we all have our own personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bird Alfie on both of those things. This is part 2.
This is part 2.
Yes.
Sound like Walter Cronkite. Welcome to part 2. I kind of gave him a little bit of accent there. But
You did.
talk to me about this place a little bit. There appears to be a thing because it's called Level Beer. But
Yeah.
there seems to be some kind of catch with the levels.
It's video game themed. There was something. I
Level
don't-
1 brewery
okay.
and beer garden.
So those are just different spots, I
oh,
guess.
locations.
So we went to the brewery and the beer garden.
Nice.
And so, yeah, it's like a small area inside that had mostly just like stools and stuff like that around the edge and a couple different video games. And then a big outside area that was covered and everything. It was like a greenhouse almost.
Oh, nice.
And with just a ton of tables and stuff like that. And then the 3 trucks outside, they had
3 food trucks? Oh,
they had the
that's
taco
dope.
truck. They had a clam and oyster truck to like get them on the half shell, and then they had like a falafel truck. So,
Falafel?
yeah,
Dude, I haven't had a falafel since I was in New York.
Jordan got herself a lamb falafel, and we're just very happy. She's pleased. So
Yeah, I want a falafel.
no, it's a
real
euro.
bad.
She got a euro.
Euro.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Still, was it like they shaved the meat off the thing?
No, it was cubes. It was.
Oh,
but
interesting.
It was it was a euro.
Was it in
But
like
it
a
was-
little pita
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a euro.
I'll say,
truck.
because I do want a falafel. It's been a long time. Last time I went to New York, I didn't even get falafel. It's been since I actually lived there.
Damn shame, Colin.
It is a fucking shame. Don't give me this nonsense.
No, it was a good spot though.
It's
And then
weird.
We went to
The hours involved. Like one of them is from 11 to 9, pretty much every day. And then like 3 to 10. And then noon to 10 on the weekends, noon to 10. That's just weird. Like they have varied hours depending on the location.
That is
like
weird.
drastically varied too. Very strange. But yeah, good beers. What kind of beers? You don't have like just a beer thing?
Interesting.
That is strange. But
Order-
hey, that's pixelated right there. That's what we're drinking.
Yes. Let's open them up.
Let's
See
do
what's
it.
Going here.
Let's get the beer flowing, baby. So we can get the crushing morosity started.
International. The French have found black rock.
That's right.
BRICS is forming a gold-backed currency. BRICS.
Yeah, the BRICS nations.
what?
BRICS. It's the Brazil. Hang on. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Oh.
BRICS nations. We actually are talking about both of those things. And Ukraine is losing. Slavery is still a thing in China. Other than the slavery in China, which I guess we kind of just go with it, we're going to be talking about all those things in part 3, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't had total time to dig into this Ukraine thing because, of course, the line from the federal government is like, no, these documents show that Ukraine is balling and that, that Russia is struggling and that they're lying about things. But then I saw some other maps from places, images that I have
Yeah.
not been able to corroborate, so I don't know,
Yeah.
that are saying like, no, they're losing, Russia is swarming in, they're doing this, and I don't know. And I have difficult time trusting any of this because it's all propaganda anyway. The only
Yeah.
people who know what the real state of war in Ukraine is the people on the ground. Those are the only people who know where the battle lines are.
Yeah.
Everybody else outside of that is literally fucking making up maps and sending them to other people so they can feel better or worse about whatever the given situation is. So I don't even trust any of that stuff.
Yeah, and we'll get into because I haven't had a chance to
I know
track
people are
down the
dying.
documents.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for them. They were supposedly released on Twitter and Telegram yesterday, and I've seen some pictures of documents, but I don't know what it is. But supposedly, yeah, it was leaked. And then there's been mixed messaging around that coming from the feds. But
What do you
we'll get
think of
into
that?
Cheers. Well, we'll see. I like the color. Got a nice smell to it. No, it's tasty. It's good shit. I like that. It's I'm trying to recall the taste of the pale ale from yesterday, and I think we'll have to do a little.
So it's pretty earthy.
It's earthy. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's earthy.
Has some good earth tones, like mossy almost.
Yes, it's not super like bitter with the hops.
Nah.
It's more grounded. I like that.
And they were saying they had just switched out one type of hops for
another one.
for another one.
Does it say?
It doesn't.
Punchy tropical fruit up front, rounded out by a modest bitterness and crisp malt finish.
Yeah.
6.1%. That's I like the little scales of hoppy, malty, bitter, and sour on it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Zero sour. Can confirm that. But hey, that's cool. It's a good pale.
I like it a lot.
You done good, my friend. I'm very proud of your beer skills. They've gone up over the years.
Thank you.
You know, and hey, at least you don't have to drink Bud Light.
Yeah, I used to only like red ales and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Rich Top Red was like your main joint for a long time, right? Do you remember the first IPA you tried?
No, because I was pretty young. My mom dated a guy who was real into beer. Kind of when craft beer was still relatively new, like there weren't that many.
Like Red Hook was the shit.
Right. And so you couldn't if you went to Safeway, they had a small micro brew section, and that was really. And
That's
so
the way my dad was. He started drinking Red Hook ESB back in the day,
right.
and that was the OG of craft beer.
And there used to be a place in Silverdale next to Kings Walk where you could brew your own beer. Like you could make a small batch beer. You would go and design stuff, and you could taste different beers, and they would just let you pick ingredients, and then they would brew a small batch for you.
Yeah.
And then you would just go and pick it up, in like 2 months or however long it took.
Yeah.
And you got a case of like 20-ounce bottles.
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's
And I
cool.
remember him doing that. I remember trying that beer and really hating it. And he was like, no, it's great. Like,
This
it's
is
exactly
fantastic.
what I thought I thought it was going to be, and hating it. And then some other stuff. I remember the first time I drank Immortal by Elysian. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. It's like, this is absolutely horrific. And now, this is a really great IPA.
That's right.
But
And both of those beer brands we talked about, Red Hook and Elysian. We can't drink those anymore.
yeah.
Can't do it.
Why?
Because they're owned by Anheuser-Busch.
Oh.
Oh, you missed it too when I came to work yesterday. You were heading out to get gas and stuff like that. Because Case Bowls was there, and went in and said what up, and we were chit chatting and stuff. And he had just started giving Drew some shit because he was like, yeah, I had 3 Bud Lights last night, man. I like Bud Light. I'm gonna keep drinking it. And so we were all just we were giving him the business, which was a fun time. Yeah, that's a whole thing. If you're interested in the Anheuser-Busch boycott, went through it yesterday on the beer show. You can find it right here on Salt Streets YouTube.
Yeah.
Go ahead and check that out. I think it's the first segment we covered yesterday.
I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it later.
I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah. So let's talk about some really dark shit. So let's go ahead and get into the Nashville shooting, right? We're not going to go too much to the actual shooting itself because I think by this point people kind of know what the story is. They know.
Yeah.
We're not going to go over the timeline or anything like that.
Side note, did you watch the interview? Not really interview, but one of the lead officers, the first one on the scene, gave like a 6-minute long kind of breakdown of his day that day.
Oh, okay. No,
like he wasn't even supposed to be there. He was just going. He was going to like the headquarters building to do some paperwork type stuff that he had just been kind of putting off and all this stuff, and so he was just kind of heading to a spot to go take care of some like personal work shit when the call came in, and he just happened to be pretty close to the area and responded. And, you know, he walked through his whole thing. It was 6 minutes long, and, you know, he was very clinical the way he went about it. And
This is the guy with the rifle?
yeah, and he was like, he said there was at one point he realized, he's like, yeah, and this is when I realized I should have equipped, or what do you say? I should have. They use technical terms, but it was like I should have activated my my rifle rated plate vest. But by then it was already too late, and I was already in the hallways. And I was like, shit, jeez, man, don't drink tranny fluid. It's not good for you.
That's what they're calling Bud Light now?
If they aren't, we are now.
What an interesting world we're living in. This whole thing is crazy.
What are your stances on boycotts, my friend?
I don't
You're
care
not
about
into this.
I don't care about the boycotts. It's not. I don't have an issue with boycotts. I think that it's fine, right? The thing that I find interesting about all of this is the rage that's coming with it, because at the very least, if not beforehand, I thought that all of us learned during BLM that none of these companies actually give a fuck about you. They don't care. They don't care what your political beliefs are. They don't align with your political beliefs. They align with whatever's going to make them the most money. And right now, you're a piece of shit if you don't like trans people. So it makes sense for them to align with a trans person. And at the end of the day, right? All the upsetness, all the everything, it's literally working exactly as it was designed, because we're fucking talking about Dylan Mulvaney. It's worked. It's already worked. Even if you stop drinking Bud Light, you stop buying Nike shit, you stop doing all the other, which you made the great point yesterday of like, these people are literally using slave labor to do these things, and you're upset because a person who isn't what you claim that they are, they claim that they are. That's the line now.
That's the line.
That's the line, right? Making things in a nation where people's hair and organs are stolen from them, that doesn't matter. That's totally fine.
That's totally
But when
fine.
a dude who claims to be a girl or whatever, doesn't even matter. When that person is now affiliated with this company, now it's too much, right?
Cross the line.
Now I've had enough. I can't anymore. I just don't care. I don't care about any of these things, and it seems crazy that anybody gets upset about this because they don't care about you.
I mean, I've already planted my flag and said I'm down with child labor, so I can't hold that against Nike anymore.
It just doesn't make any sense to me because, like I said, you're paying him right now. You're making this investment pay off by talking about him.
Yeah, because
that's what
stays
you're doing.
in the news. Yep, stays in the what do you call it, in the zeitgeist.
Yep.
if you
So
will.
everybody, all the Matt Walshes, everybody who has never drank a Bud Light in their life and never will drink a Bud Light, and are now saying this is absurd that this company would do this. You're not being principled. You're not cool. You're not none of these things. It's not, you're giving them money. You're putting money in his pocket by talking about him. So you're already losing. You're taking winning stance and you're losing. So.
Principled.
They obviously don't know who was buying their beer. They're losing their ass. 100%. That's 100%. I agree. They're making a terrible mistake. I do not disagree at all. And that's precisely my point, is that this is evidence. They don't fucking care about you.
Yep.
They care about money. And if they think that they can make this trade-off to appeal to a broader audience, and maybe people who don't drink Bud Light will start drinking Bud Light, then that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Because they own 90 million different beer companies anyway. So you're not going to drink Bud Light. Maybe you're going to start drinking a microbrew. We own all your favorite microbrews anyway.
Yep.
So
yeah. And I found out that the state beer of Ecuador is called Pilsner. Spelled a little bit different than standard Pilsner.
I've had
but
one of these before.
the
Czech Pilsner, bro.
They are also owned by Ambev.
I'm telling you.
So that's a whole thing, bro. It's international, like tons like the Kirin Ichiban.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Like if you go to sushi restaurants and stuff like that, that's owned by Ambev.
They got you by the balls.
They got you by the balls, boys.
It's too late. I don't.
This is what happens.
This is a silly thing
when you
to me.
let mega corporations own everything. Everything will become Taco Bell. That's Demolition Man was right. That's the way it is.
And we allow them to entangle themselves with the government. So again, they're incentivized by the government to do shit like this. I'm sure they're getting tax breaks. They're getting something. Because now they're working with trans person. They're super inclusive and dope and woke. And everyone loves it. I'm sure that
and you gotta remember,
next fucking big government event is going to have a bunch of Bud Lights in a bucket somewhere in the corner because they just did this woke shit and now they can be involved with the federal government.
Wasn't Gronkowski doing these like big like party cruises and stuff sponsored by Bud Light for a long time? That was like a huge deal, I think. But like NFL is like massively in bed with like these places.
They don't care.
Yeah, it's all incestuous.
Pepsi-Cola, all the things. They're
all the things,
baby.
It doesn't. Coca-Cola literally sells their product on every single continent and every single country of the world.
These companies don't care about you.
The world,
they
bro.
They do not care about you.
You can go anywhere in the world and get a Coca-Cola. That's weird.
No, especially because they're a major corporation, so they have seen increases in profits every quarter for the last 9 bajillion years. So if they see a dip for, 2 years in a row and then start to go back up, they're not going to, they probably have that built into the margins anyway when they chose to do this. Like, we're going to piss a lot of people off doing this.
Yep.
That's fine. They don't care about you.
Yep. And there's still going to be a lot of those people that go out and buy a case of Bud Light just to shoot it.
And you're paying them by doing it. That's
exactly.
Right. You're paying them by doing this.
Have you seen the Kid Rock video?
I have seen, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had questions about the Kid Rock video because it looks like they're shooting like fireworks and shit at it too.
He probably put tannerite in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could see sparks and stuff coming from another angle.
Yeah.
As it's shooting.
You
I'm
just
like,
buy
that's weird.
canisters of tannerite, and then he probably put a few in there.
Oh yeah.
So he hits the tannerite, it blows the things up, so it makes it look.
It was pretty cool.
He's got his MP5K out there.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Took about 5 seconds to unload that little 9mm magazine.
It is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty sweet gun.
Yeah. And boy, how old is Kid Rock nowadays? He still looks real good.
Yeah.
He got some heavy crow's feet and stuff like that, but refers to himself as grandpa now.
Yeah, no, at first I saw, that he had made a video and I was like, I just don't care what Kid Rock has to say about really anything. And then they played part of it on the Secret Podcast. And I was like, all right, let me see this fucking Kid Rock video now.
Oh, I don't think I watched the most recent one.
Yeah, just him shooting. And I was like, all right, let me see this Kid Rock video now.
Let's go here.
All right.
That's a repost from Benny Johnson.
I like it.
I just watched from stage right. Looks like there's like some fucking bottle rockets or something shooting in here, but I could be, could be wrong.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all of you and be as clear and concise as possible.
Oh, okay. So someone might hit it with some dragon's breath.
That's what it
You know what I'm
was.
saying? Yeah, I think someone probably shot it with some dragon's breath off the side there.
Yeah, because there's no real big explosions, but you
Right.
can watch as they come in from
Yeah, I think
that other side there.
I think it's some dragon's breath rounds.
So that's just like they're like.
It's an incendiary shotgun round.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because you could see. Look at the pattern of that shot as it comes out.
that's
and
some
then
dragon's breath.
splashes across the water. Man. Also, who's doing the secondary shooter? Who's the second shooter?
Right.
We got 2 shooters in this situation.
Who's the second shooter?
Yeah, who's the second shooter? That's the
Yeah.
mystery of the day. Let me know in the comments who you think is the second shooter.
That's pretty
in
cool.
Kid Rock's video.
I like that.
Well, how morose do we want to start off with here? We're going to talk about guns in Tennessee, right?
In Tennessee in particular?
Well, we'll just using Tennessee as a jumping off point, right?
Yeah. So, brief breakdown. There was a shooting inside of a Christian school. It appears that the shooter targeted the school, right? They tried to go to a different one and then went to this one instead. They attended the school at some point, and so I haven't read the manifesto. I'm not going to read this person's manifesto.
Nobody has. They haven't released this particular manifesto
Don't
yet.
care what this person has to say. They're obviously assuming there's some motivation that they went to this school, and so maybe they hate the school. There's some whatever. It's a trans person, so there's all kinds of weird stuff about because this is a trans woman, right? This is a person who was born as a male and then transitioned to. Okay,
this is what makes this one extra
because
weird.
They're using her original name.
Yeah,
right?
it depends on where you where you're reading this from and stuff like this.
It depends
but
what name they use.
Yes.
Because when I was reading, I think ABC last night, they're calling
Yes.
that they're using this person's female name.
Exactly.
So then I was like, okay, so then maybe I just had it mixed with the way that this person transitioned. But
Exactly.
they're dead naming this person now because they're dead. And I'm not like, they're dead naming this person, but I'm using their terms that were this person to be alive, you would be dead naming them, and you couldn't even do it on Twitter. You'd be taken down because that's against the rules. But now that they're dead, it's okay to dead name them.
That's my understanding.
Because they're a piece of trash?
Yeah, yeah, I think. I don't know. If you listen to Cream Jean-Pierre, she's a brave hero. A lot of these protesters that are going around right now doing this, you know, it's the genocide of trans people and stuff like that are they're holding up 7 fingers as to include the shooter as one of the victims, because it's just but yeah, the weird thing about this in particular is it was a biological female
trans act was holding 7 fingers.
Yep. And that was a weird thing, because generally speaking, biological women are not school shooters.
It's a dude thing.
It's a testosterone thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seems to be,
That seems to be the deal here.
Because then there was another foiled one yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 days ago, something like that.
Yeah, and that one was really interesting. And there was another one that we can touch on as we go through, where one of the, I think it was the state reps or something like that, their kid, they turned their kid into, this was in Florida, turned their kid into the cops because he had made threatening messages online about shooting up a school or whatever. And then they the mother made a huge deal about how Ron DeSantis was kidnapping her child for posting memes online. And it turns out that you, as the mother, brought your kid into the police station because they were not posting memes online about this. They were doing direct posts and talking about how they were going to go shoot up a school.
I saw a video of parents walking their child into the police station.
Yeah,
I did not know what the fuck it was about.
Yeah.
I'd just be catching pieces of all this, bro.
That's right. Where is it? Too many tabs.
Now, while you're finding that, let me make a brief point about the trans shooter thing, right?
Okay.
In the wake of this shooting at the school, there's a bunch of people, especially on the conservative side, that are like making up a list of the last few shootings that were perpetrated by people who are on this trans spectrum, right? And they're like, this person was trans, this person was trans, this person was trans. Okay, you're not helping. Let me tell you why you're not helping. You're using the tactics of the left. Right? All of the times there's been a mass shooting and they take it and like, this person was a white male. This person was a white male. This is a hetero white male issue. You're literally doing the exact same thing. You're literally doing the exact same thing. And not only does it not help the generalized discussion of how do we resolve this issue, it makes you look like a bigoted piece of shit, right? Even if you're not, if this is the connection you're trying to draw, this doesn't help. This doesn't add to anything to be just compiling people into lists, into lines of, well, but what are all these trans shooters? And these people were all white shooters. This doesn't help. Mm-hmm. This doesn't add anything to the situation. And you're just using the tactics you complain about from the left when they do it. Yeah, just shut the fuck up.
I mean, we all know who are responsible for it's the guns, right?
It's the guns anyway. We all know that. No, and it was the same thing when, and we'll get into this a little bit more, I think, but we'll talk about more. Go ahead and get into... So this is the woman.
This is the woman. This son of Rebecca Jones, Florida whistleblower arrested in probe of threatening internet post. Do you remember back when there was this whistleblower in Florida who was saying Ron DeSantis was reporting all the wrong data as far as COVID numbers were going out?
Yeah, okay.
This was her, and this was her son. So the 13-year-old son of controversial Florida whistleblower was arrested this week on charges that he made terroristic threats on the internet to shoot up his former school. Son of Rebecca Jones, who lost her job after using her access to health department data to challenge Governor Ron DeSantis' COVID numbers earlier in the pandemic, was arrested Wednesday on charges he made written or electronic threats of a mass shooting or terroristic act. The threat reportedly were made during a series of conversations on Snapchat and Discord, an instant messaging social platform. Beginning around February 1st, they were
just
brought
everyone
to
get
the
off
attention.
the internet. Everyone fucking get off the internet.
Just go to our Discord.
That's what the goddamn problem
Go to our
is.
Discord.
Everyone's on the fucking internet all the time.
Yes.
Everyone get off the goddamn internet.
Go socialize in person. That's a huge thing. It's a huge aspect of all of this, right? But the video itself, this is the video of, there's a couple videos, one of them walking in to the police station, but this is her and her husband sitting there as her son is brought in to the station or for processing and stuff like that.
They did this, and then she said that Ron DeSantis was kidnapping her son. That's the video I saw. This is the
one where they were walking in.
And that's when I was like, why am I seeing this? Why am I watching this?
Yeah. Because they brought their kid in to be arrested.
Because he's saying wild shit.
Yeah.
And then after he was arrested, she said Ron DeSantis kidnapped her son.
Yes. And kind of had a full-blown meltdown. And
why you got to be such a
instantly fact-checked and this, that, and the other thing. You know,
fact check.
The best thing to happen to the new Twitter is the community notes section.
Yes.
Which I wondered for a long time, Sydney Watson and Jeremy Hanlon's new show that they do. It's called Community Notes. I was like, what the fuck is that for? Oh, wait. That's what those things are called, which there's a lovely Nancy Pelosi community note that comes up as we'll talk a little later about this. But but yeah, that's the story. And she's a liar. Obviously has a vendetta against, Ron DeSantis after coming out as a whistleblower and this, that, and the other thing. So that doesn't surprise me that, just tried to use her son's arrest as leverage to try to get points online and then immediately got smacked down by the full force of the fucking internet.
What an idiot. Get your kids off the internet.
Get your kids off the internet, bro.
Everybody get your kids off the internet.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Nobody's babies need to be on the internet.
No.
No. So the natural reaction to this was the guns are the problem, right?
Guns are the problem.
Yeah. The biggest. Let's go over some of these arguments really quick because this was kind of the natural reaction. So they are, if you go to our Instagram, the Salt of the Streets one, in the direct messages, Jordan sent it to us.
Okay.
And so really quick, we're going to go over some of these really horrific arguments that came out and gained prominence during the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Scroll up a little bit. Scroll up. There you go.
This one here?
Yep. So this is a series of these things that we'll take a look at. And that's like one of the middle ones. So if you click to the left.
Oh, here we go.
Then it will go to the beginning. There you go. Okay, so this was a post that my wife sent to me actually because she had a bunch of people that she saw that had shared it. So we're going to go over these slides. We're going to talk about them.
So the guns are the problem.
Correct.
Okay.
Because this is what we're hearing, right? This is the message in the immediate aftermath of this, is that the guns are the problem. That there's no question about this. It's the gun's fault. It's the gun's fault because this person got these guns legally.
Yeah. That interaction with Thomas Massey and that other rep in the house that day. More guns, more death. More guns, more death.
Right. This is the line, right?
Yeah.
The line is that the problem is here, and it's America, and it's unique to America specifically because of the amount of guns that we have. And so the only way that we can do this or that we can fix this is by taking people's guns away. I read through some of the comments last night. It was really pretty hilarious.
Yeah, because like we touched on in the first segment, the very, very anti-gun country of Ecuador has just now, through essentially executive fiat, told all their citizens they can start carrying guns now because crime is so high.
Right.
So it's definitely the guns.
I shared a piece of a conversation between Andrew Huberman and Lex Friedman earlier this week on our story. And it was Lex Friedman talking about his experience going to Ukraine. He said they did a really interesting social experiment there when the war popped off. He said they gave everybody a gun.
Yeah.
They gave everybody a gun. He said and crime went to zero. So there's no crime anymore anywhere because people can defend themselves, and the police essentially don't have a job anymore because they can't involve themselves in something that people don't want them involved in, and people handle their own business. So crime went to zero because everybody has a gun.
And you would think that in a war-torn country like that, that would be prime time for opportunistic crime.
Yes.
Prime time for opportunistic crime. Look at that.
That was fire.
That was a happy little accident.
Dude, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That's
yo.
That's what that sounds like to me.
I basically got OJ off.
Just Johnny Cochran over here.
But yeah, you'd think in that case, like, half of your country is destroyed by war at this point, and there's some semblance of society going on where there's not total chaos, but at the same time, more than half the country fled. as the war kicked off. You'd think there'd be tons of opportunistic crime going on, but maybe not so much if everybody's got a fucking AK in their hand.
And that's not me saying everybody should have a gun all the time, even though I might argue that. That's me saying
That's just what happened.
there is a correlation between people, between not knowing who has a gun and who doesn't, and people who would generally commit crime choosing to not commit certain crimes. There is a connection there. There's definitely a connection.
There has to be some, because there's got to be other aspects too. I don't want to
Yes.
leave those off the table.
Precisely.
Again, you're at war. A lot of people just aren't around. They're
Also,
all
the main
fighting.
the main
and
age group for people who would commit crime, which would be between like 16
Yeah.
and 35 or whatever,
Are out there fighting
either
war.
fighting or fled long ago to escape the fighting.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, again, same deal. On our story, I shared a graph of the population in Ukraine. I mean, there is a gap this fucking big in the middle of that graph because
big gap.
those people aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
They are either dead, dying in a
fled.
war, or completely gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the post, it was a really good post that was not only about like, it's crazy this happened, but also we need to fix this, because if we don't fix this soon, these people that fled are going to put down roots somewhere. And all
And they're not going to necessarily come back.
and Ukraine as a country is going to fall because they aren't going to be able to replace the adults that are going to die off in the next few years. That they just won't even have the youth base to have enough babies to keep their country afloat. It will just fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have their own version of baby boomers, essentially. They're going to
Yes.
have to at that point. But, yeah, we'll have to see what that comes around. That happens a lot in, like, countries that are at war.
Yes.
All your main, childbearing families are torn apart and destroyed because most of those people end up dying.
Right.
It's a huge problem. I mean, we saw that in Japan after World War II and, everywhere. But let's go through these here.
Yes, these arguments, like I said, my wife saw multiple people that she knows that she follows share different slides from this specific post, and that's why she sent this one to us.
Okay.
So,
There
this
is
page is called So Informed, just so that you know. That's what the page is
so
called.
informed right now.
And so this one says the guns are the problem. There have been 129 mass shootings in the United States so far in 2023. It has been said millions of times, and yet it must continue to be said until our legislators actually listen to the people of this country and do something about the preventable gun violence. The guns are the problem. There is an interesting thing that we do in choosing how we report mass shootings.
Yes.
Right? It's like anybody over 2 or 3, and it changes depending on who is reporting on the given mass shooting.
Yeah. Because states have different aspects of it, and then the FBI has their different classifications of it.
And the problem with broad strokes conversations about such a complicated and intricate issues is when you say mass shooting, that doesn't differentiate between something like what we saw in Nashville and some type of gang or drug fueled shooting that happens in a city somewhere.
Yes.
These are very different things, and they aren't going to be solved by the same issue
Yep.
or by the same solution, right?
Yeah.
So that's the issue with covering it in this type of broad stroke, and that's why it is an issue to discuss this with such emotion and debasement and not any type of fact or logical reasoning, because the issue is just, at the end of the day, the guns are the problem.
Yeah.
That's not a logical response. That's an emotional response to an admittedly very emotional issue and a very emotional event that happened, right? I'm not discounting that. We've talked about it a lot of times before. I have 2 children. I'm not completely immune from this argument of sympathy, right? And nor are you, because we've discussed the same thing. But you can't discuss this or try and solve this from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
Bilbo,
Bilbo's here.
happy to see you, buddy. You're just in time.
I would be very curious to actually break down that number and try to say, okay, how many of those came from Gangland Chicago? How many came from LA? How many came from
Detroit.
other, rough inner city violence? Because usually when these gang shootouts go down, 2 or 3 people get killed, and or get caught in the crossfire
Right.
and add to that list. And so how many of those are included in this? How many of them actually have been a mass shooting in a public place that we associate with like a school shooting?
And how many people who committed these crimes were taken off the streets afterwards?
And how many of these crimes were committed with guns that were acquired illegally?
Right.
I would venture to guess most.
Yeah.
There's the old adage still remains true. You can pass as much gun control laws you want, but the bad guys will always still find ways to have guns.
People who illegally
Period.
purchased a firearm, even if you remove anybody's ability to purchase a firearm in a store, people who didn't buy it in a store will still find a way to not buy it in a store.
Yes.
That's still how it's going to be.
And if you were to if you had a magic wand, Harry Potter style, and we're like, boom, all the guns in the United States of America disappear, it would take a weekend for people to, illicit individuals that need guns to use in their crimes and their gang wars and stuff like that. It would take a weekend for them to order their fucking 3D printers off of Amazon and then be back out with home manufactured firearms within days.
Unquestionably.
Like, done. I have a lovely post for you in the grab bag with some really sweet home manufactured firearms.
Yeah, you can't stop the signal. It's already out there. The design's already out there. The know-how has already exists.
Yep.
You can't stop the signal. It's way too late for that.
Way too late. Can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No.
So, yeah, lots and lots of flaws in this one. That blanket statistic of 129 mass shootings in the United States so far in 2023 means literally nothing if you're trying to say that legal firearms are the problem.
Right. If the theory that more guns equals more safety were even remotely true, then the U.S. would be the safest country in the entire world. We are not. The U.S. is home to 120.5 guns per 100 individuals. We are the only country in the entire world that is home to more guns than there are people living in the country, and we are 25 times more likely to be killed in a gun homicide than individuals in peer countries. Okay, if nobody has a gun, it's really hard to shoot somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, if no one has a gun, then you're not very likely to be killed by somebody else with a firearm if they don't have them, right?
Yeah.
There also doesn't address how many of the people are killed intentionally with vehicles or with knives. Or with blunt objects.
Go to the UK, you see a lot of mass stabbing events.
Yes.
There was one in Vancouver, Canada,
within the last few weeks. Yeah.
And multiple people died.
Yes.
What the point I was going to make? Shit. The biggest areas in which gun violence are the highest percentage of homicides are the states and cities that have the strictest gun laws. It's not a hard stat to find.
Right.
The inner cities generally have the highest concentration of gun control laws, and they also have the highest levels of gun violence.
And it's another issue, again, of speaking in generalities. That in generalized gun homicide, that is almost definitely true. But that again, doesn't separate the crime-fueled shootings that happen. If you're talking about random occurrences of being killed, it's probably not that much higher than somewhere else around the globe, because people aren't randomly killed here unless they're very often, unless it's a stray bullet in someone else's crime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's infrequent that there are random slayings in the United States.
Yeah. And they're getting more common, committed by criminals who have illegally owned firearms, if you will. There's that viral video that was making its rounds a few weeks ago of this guy that was standing on a street in New York City, walked up to this homeless guy sitting on the street, fumbled with a gun for over a minute, reloaded, had a jam, blah, 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 and then just, boom,
shot him
dropped
in the head.
him.
Yes.
Like those kind of things happen. A lot of the spontaneous homicides we're seeing these days aren't with guns yet, but most of them are like throwing people in front of traffic or doing like the fucking knockout game or whatever, where they just run up and fucking punch somebody in the face, and then they, you could kill people very easily like that. But that's not to get the two stats, I guess, mixed up.
Yes.
But more guns.
And Joseph has a great point. The places with the highest amount of gun regulations also have the highest amount of violent crime.
Yeah.
In the United States, there's a direct correlation between those two things.
Yep. It's a good thing Chicago's got a new mayor who's not going to do anything about that.
Yeah.
The U.S. is home to less than 5% of the world's population, yet holds 46% of the world's civilian-owned guns.
The U.S. has an estimated
fucking life goals.
393 million firearms in civilian possession. This is only an estimate because there is currently no database that tracks whether people own guns or not.
You're goddamn right.
Yes,
There's not.
nor should there be, right? Okay, again, we're also the only country in the world in which the founding documents indicate and directly say that you have an unfettered ability to own a firearm to defend yourself.
Yes.
We're the only country in the world where that happens. So if nowhere else do you have a right, like a right, not a made up one, not like a this is my right to fucking have an abortion or to any of this type of stuff, right? Then I don't even really want to say that, because if that's your right, then that's your right. It's not up to me to decide for you what your right is. But right, as far as they're designated in this country and legally recognized, this we're the only place where it's written down
Yes.
that you have the right to own a firearm. So no fucking shit. Of course we have more guns. It's the only place we're allowed to have more guns.
That's right.
motherfucker.
It's
Of
the only
course we
place.
do. You stupid if you didn't. If you think gun control works, you're either willfully ignorant or lying.
Or a tyrant.
Yes.
Probably both.
I think, you know what, I try sometimes to put myself back in the mindset of that I used to
the
be
old
in,
days?
like, prior, you know.
Yeah. Why would you ever need an AR-15?
And I think you just don't know. You just don't.
You don't know until you know.
You just don't think about. So part of it is being too optimistic, right? At that point, it's too optimistic at the idea that if something happens, the police will take care of me, the government will take care of me, the military will take care of me. That's their job, right? So
Maybe combined with a little bit of like people are generally good and don't want to just hurt people.
Yes, when you don't know that they won't take care of you, that's supposed to be their job, but when things really fall apart and you really need them, they won't take care of you.
Yes.
They won't be there. They won't exist to take care of you. The military, if the world falls apart, if things really pop off, they're going to take care of the really, quote unquote, the important people at the center. That's what their job is.
Designated survivor.
It's not to come and take care of you.
No.
It's not at all to come and take care of you. It's to make sure that you, in your desperation to survive, do not try and kill the people that they are trying to protect.
Yes.
That's what their job is. And when you don't think about that, you don't think about why you would ever need that. It's easy to dismiss that because you think it's someone else's job to protect me. So why do I need to do it? It's someone else's job.
Yeah.
It's someone else's job. It's an abdication of that responsibility because you don't think you have to take that upon yourself.
Yeah. Or you've never had an experience at which your ability to protect yourself was ever in question because you didn't have the means to do so.
Yes.
And you felt powerless and helpless.
And that's what it took for us. Was even just a small thing where it was not violent. It was just, I did not have control of this situation at all. I don't have a way to control this situation because there's more than one person and they're bigger than me. I can't control this situation. So it's being in a situation like that was enough for us to get a pistol, to at least recognize I do have to protect myself. I have to be able to do that because there isn't always going to be someone right there, and I'm not always going to be able to call because sometimes it's going to happen right now and I'm not going to know about it. You know.
Yep.
So it is a place of ignorance. I don't necessarily know that it's willful, and I'm not trying to totally disagree with you, Joseph. I am just saying because I've lived in that mindset. And I wasn't trying to be ignorant. I truly didn't know. I lived in a life sheltered enough, and I'll say privileged enough that I had never been in true danger like that I couldn't handle. And so I never knew, you know? And at that point, if you've been in a situation like that and you still are making that argument, no one needs to know to defend themselves. No one needs to be able to defend themselves. You're definitely willfully ignorant because you've experienced a situation where you should have been able to defend yourself and you couldn't. And now you're advocating for people to not be able to defend themselves. And that is not only willfully ignorant, it's morally wrong and it's repugnant.
Repugnant. I like it. I like it. I like it. Good stuff.
Thank you. Alpha brain flowing.
Alpha brain is flowing. You heading out, baby? All right. Have a great workout.
Bye.
Be safe. Next slide, please. Gun violence is the #1 cause of death for children under 18. More than 1,300 children under the age of 18 have been injured or killed by gun violence in 2023.
This is a severe disconnect between the Republican lawmaker narrative of protecting children in this country and the sheer lack of motivation or will to actually protect children from the single most dangerous threat to their lives, gun violence. GOP party members have taken in millions of dollars in donations from the gun lobby industry while simultaneously blocking efforts to pass any meaningful gun control legislation. The blood of every child killed by gun violence in this country is on their hands. So I've had a really difficult time with this particular statistic, right?
Because it's wrong.
And that's what I've heard. And I've not been able to find those numbers myself. I've just been able to find different articles about these numbers and why this is correct. And so everything that I found was, yes, gun violence is the number one cause of death for children in America. And so it's my understanding that this is not correct.
Yes.
Right? And especially when the age of 18 is included. And so I cannot confirm or deny 100% for myself right now that is incorrect. But my understanding is that it is incorrect and manipulated data because of the ages and the way that it's kind of jiggered around.
Yes, when they say 18, that changes the dynamic completely.
Right, 18 and 19, because in the bigger one, 19 is included, and it's like 1,600, something like that. And to which I'm like, why is 18 and 19 included in this at all? Because they're not children anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So the information below is from the CDC. Accidents, unintentional injuries are by far the leading cause of death among children and teens. 0 to 1, development, genetical conditions that are present at birth, conditions due to premature birth, accidents. 1 to 4, accidents, developmental or genetic conditions. Again, homicide at 1 to 4. That's a weird one. Accidents, cancer between 5 to 9, developmental genetic diseases. 10 to 14, accidents, suicide, cancer. So that's not a very good statistic either, because it just says homicide in 1 to 4.
Right.
And that's a lot of people killing their own kids for multiple reasons, mostly, so that's not a very good statistic there. But generally speaking, no, the most common cause of death is for children. If you want to break it out to 17, 18 years old, you're beginning to factor in gang violence, other violent crime, stuff like that. So you're throwing the statistic off.
It's going to greatly inflate these statistics, and that's why, I had a huge issue with that. Even if we are talking just to 18, kids who are 16, 17, 18 are out there fucking gangbanging. And I'm not trying to, that's the reality. Those are the people that are doing that shit, that are the Kia boys that are out here fucking stealing people's cars and shit like that. They're also strapped. Those dudes are also
and they're
strapped.
Fucking 13 years old.
That shit is happening.
Yes.
And those things matter. If you are
trying to make an actual argument,
likelihood that you are going to die because of gun violence, I don't know that you should be included in this statistic.
Word.
If you're living a traditional childhood in which you just, maybe your parent has a gun or some shit like that, I don't think this is not correct. This is not an accurate portrayal of the general childhood experience.
Yeah. And I'll say this too, if there's childhood suicide by gun, I would argue that the vast majority of those things would fall to the parent that owns the gun that is not securely keeping those things locked up. That's a parent problem, not a generalized gun violence problem.
1,000,000%. There are kind of levels of shit that you have to deal with, when your kid is 1, or an infant, and they can't crawl. There's kind of a different level of shit you need to take care of when your shit is 16 and they know how to do things and remember codes and fucking look over your shoulder and do weird shit. There's a whole different
Kids are
level
fucking sneaky.
That's what I'm saying. There's a whole different level of stuff that needs to go into it. We have a stop box, the thing where it's at this point he's not strong enough.
His little hands
and
aren't
his
big
hands
enough.
are too small, right? When he's fucking 10, this is not good enough anymore. This thing needs to be upgraded to a different device that's a little more safe.
Bilbo out here dropping fucking heavy stats.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Turkey disarms its citizens. Oh yeah, murdered them. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I wasn't coming hot with numbers like this, but
those are hot.
This underlines the general argument that I'm prepared to make.
Generally speaking, the overall point Bilbo is making in the chat is that the largest perpetrators of gun violence are governments that decide to use force on their own people.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Next slide. 50% of the country does not even require a license to carry a gun. Our elected officials are allowing people to carry loaded, concealed handguns in public without qualifying for an and obtaining a license, undergoing background checks, or receiving any kind of firearms training. Multiple breakdown on this one. Yes, as it were, the overall level of freedom and liberty as it pertains to the U.S. citizens being allowed to fully enact their Second Amendment right is the highest level it's ever been in history.
Yes.
And the vast majority of, or not the vast, but like I believe it's a plurality now of states have
Yes. Constitutional carry.
No license required for acquiring
carry the gun.
or carrying concealed.
Right.
At-
If you
at
want to
all.
buy a gun, right, the other level why this is wrong, if you want to buy a gun, you still have to do a fucking background check. So the people who are carrying guns, if they've purchased their gun legally, have still undergone a background check.
Yes.
As everyone is required if they're going to buy one in a store.
Period.
Right?
Period.
So
full stop. That's how it goes. You
that's
want a
not
gun?
true.
You do a background check. Period.
the deeper, again, liberty level of it, fucking all gun laws are infringements. You
Yes.
shouldn't have to tell anybody what you're doing, anyone. It's no one's business how you choose to defend yourself or your family, the people around you. It's no one else's business, right?
Yep.
We just I just was watching a video the other day. I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about the guy in the mall who took the 55-yard shot at the would-be shooter.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy, right? He's a piece of shit because he carried, right? He shouldn't be doing that. It's wrong that
It was
he
a
wants to do
gun-free
that.
zone.
Okay, he took a 55-yard shot and saved everybody's fucking life in that mall.
Yep.
The guy's a goddamn hero. You know, this is why you do it. And it's no one else's business how he wants to conduct himself.
Yeah.
I do.
The only legitimate argument in gun control is 100% confiscation. Because, which again doesn't even actually make sense because home manufacturing firearms exists and you can't put that genie back in the bottle. It's
too late.
But if you're talking about controlling guns, there's no way to possibly do that,
No.
period. Just, there's no way. But yeah, background checks, obviously that's wrong. And receiving any kind of firearms training is also, I mean, that's mixed because some places you can, some places you can't. But also, there's unofficial training that fellow gun enthusiasts give their friends and family
Yeah.
when they're trying to come in. There's family training that you learn from your mom or dad or your brother as you're growing up.
There's also bad training that people pay for.
And
Unsafe
there's-
shit that people will teach you because they want money from you.
Yes,
So,
and the state-sponsored government training programs are
nonsense.
certified, if you will, are generally just websites thrown together to meet the requirements so you can click through and get a thing done.
yeah, mine was certified. The thing to get my AR-15, it took me 5 seconds. It was online. It was free, and it taught me the 4 basic rules of firearm ownership, which is all the shit that your parents teach you the first time that you buy a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put your finger on the trigger. Safe storage. Those are the things.
If you know what a gun is, they're common sense.
It's nonsense.
You want to talk about common sense gun laws? How about just the common sense? If you know what this is, you don't point at anybody you don't want to kill. You keep it locked up safely. You don't shoot at anything you don't intend to kill. You don't point it down. I mean, I forget the exact wording of all these, obviously, but it's just
yes.
treat it like the tool that it is.
And the last part, how are we made any safer when this is our reality? The reality is that places that have gun-free zones see the most gun violence because people who are there think that they can't carry guns. That's why these things happen.
Yep. Next slide. The majority of Americans want to see common sense gun control implemented in this country. A February 2023 Gallup poll found that 63% of Americans are dissatisfied with the current gun control laws and policies in place, the highest it's ever been on record. A 2020 survey found that about 2 in 10 adults in the U.S. have either been personally impacted by or have someone close to them who has been impacted by gun violence. The U.S. is in a constant state of crisis due to gun violence.
Polls are nonsense.
Yeah, we should trust the polls, right?
Right, because as Colin just said, there's a plurality of the country that has asked their representation, their state representation, to pass constitutional carry. That is a thing that happened. It did not happen because no one wanted it to happen. It is not rogue Republican legislators that somehow got their agenda through to allow for constitutional carry in their states.
It's the
that's
fascists
not
that
how it
are in
happened.
charge. It's the fascists.
Yes, they're fascists, so they want to give everyone the right and the ability to carry a gun wherever they are all of the time. That makes total fucking sense, right?
Yeah.
The polls are nonsense. We know that. You can't trust any of these polls at all. Gallup also does one of the biggest and apparently most legitimate polls for the presidential race. We
So
saw how these things
wrong.
turned out. It's absolute nonsense.
What are your thoughts on if senator seats and representative seats were handed out like jury duty on the citizens of the United States? Yeah, I forget what the word is for that. It's like
It's like a rotation.
yeah, there's like a word for it. I'm not gonna remember what it is, but yeah, it's like you get a summons to go to Congress for fucking 8 weeks, and then you're put up in a place, you stay there, you're in there to vote on fucking bills, and then
That'd
you
be
go
wild.
home. That would be an interesting thing. They talked about that a little bit on Timcast at some point
Yeah.
recently. Might have been that Vivek Ramaswamy
There would probably be a higher generalized level of
interest.
interest, yeah, people being informed, because you could be called up at any point in time. So you better have at least something, you know, even if you don't know about all the things, you know what you care about,
Yeah.
and you know about that, so that when you show up there, you're like, I don't know about that, and I don't know about that, but this is what I care about, and this
right.
is what I'm here to talk about, because it's my time now, bitch.
That's right. I know what affects me and my community on the ground. You want me to vote for how much money to Ukraine?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
You
We're
just have
not
to-
doing that.
You just have to hope there are other people serving at that time that also fuck with your same topic, whatever your concern is,
Yeah.
that are down with the same shit.
You know what I think the best outcome of that situation would be? Nothing would ever get done
Yeah.
because nobody'd be able to agree on anything.
Right.
And I am here for that. Let's fucking go. Next slide, please.
Yeah, also people being impacted by gun violence.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know my uncle shot himself within the last 5 years.
Yep.
This doesn't, and that's not being me like, who gives a shit? That's me saying that doesn't and shouldn't impact someone else's ability to own a firearm or defend themselves. Even if it turns me off from that and I don't want to carry, I don't want to do that, I don't ever want to be around a gun again. That should not dictate how you call and choose or have the ability to defend yourself.
No.
The fact that I'm uncomfortable with that. That was a choice that my uncle made that was a horrific and very sad choice. That doesn't inform anybody else's life, and it shouldn't affect your ability to choose.
Yep. I fully agree with that.
This was the one that she sent to me. So this was the first one that I saw. And this is the one that best underlines all of those fucking dope stats that Bilbo just spit for us.
Yes.
Don't let Second Amendment worshippers fool you. Gun control can and does stop gun violence. When mass shootings have occurred in other major countries, their governments moved quickly to tackle the issue. The U.S. is simply an abject failure in this area. New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada have proven that governments can take action to implement gun control, and in doing so, the rates of gun violence will decrease. In other words, the idea that gun control will lead to less gun violence isn't some progressive fantasy. It's been proven effective elsewhere in the world. Okay. Let me start here. There's the overall very obvious point that I made earlier. Of course, if no one has a gun except for criminals, it's really fucking hard for people to get shot all of the time. Really hard. Just on a general logical point. Of course, if there are no guns, it's really hard to shoot other people, right? So there's that. The second part, these list of people or these countries that we saw here, do you also remember that in Canada last year when they stole people's money out of their bank accounts?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that happened? Mm-hmm. And, you know, right around that same time is when Justin Trudeau said, you don't have a right to defend yourself with a gun in Canada. The leader of the country said that, told you, decided if you live in Canada, you don't get to do that here. It doesn't work like that. You're a human being. He's a human being. He's not better than you because he's the fucking president, because he's the prime minister. He's not better than you. He holds a particular office for a set period of time, and eventually he won't anymore. And then what? Are you still going to listen to him? Are you still going to do what he says because at one point he was the prime minister? Do you listen to George Bush? Do you listen to Barack Obama because they were the president at one point in time? Should they be telling you what you should do? Is this really what we think? Do you remember during COVID in Australia where they took people out of their houses and they locked them in camps? Do you remember when they were there and they couldn't do anything about it? They tried to leave and the police told them no. They told them that they would put them in jail if they left. An actual jail, not the one that they had rigged up with
Not
the canopies.
just the camp.
Yeah, a real jail. That happened. I'm not making that up. This isn't a story. This isn't 1984, right? This isn't the book that we read last month. This isn't the March Book Club book.
Hashtag SOS Book Club.
This is reality. That actually happened. Do you remember in China and Hong Kong when they changed the laws and took those people's rights away and they didn't even already have the right for a firearm? They couldn't defend themselves? They have less rights now. They're under the Chinese regime of Xi Jinping now because they had no recourse.
Yep.
This is all reality. Do you remember when we were in history class and we learned all of these numbers that Bilbo spit out for us here? Do you remember these things? That's all reality. That's all real. All of that happened in part because those people couldn't defend themselves, because they didn't have the ability. Do you know what will never happen here? Those things. Because we'll never let it happen. We can't let it happen. It's incumbent upon us. It's our responsibility. As Joseph said earlier, because we're Americans, because we live here, it is incumbent upon you. It is your responsibility to defend yourself. It's your responsibility to know how to defend yourself. It's your responsibility to arm yourself and to be prepared to defend your rights, my rights, Colin's rights, everyone's rights. That's your job.
That's the true meaning of what a militia is supposed to do.
That's your job being here.
Yep.
That's your responsibility. If you choose to abdicate that, that's fine. Get the fuck out of the way then. You don't get to dictate for me how I'm going to do it. I'm doing my job. I'm keeping up my end of the bargain. I want to live here. I want to be free. I want to die free. That's why I own this. That's why it's about to be banned. And that's why I'm willing to come here on this show and say, build your rifles how you want. The federal government, the state government doesn't get to tell you what to do. They don't get to dictate your rights to you. They don't get to tell you how to defend yourself. We don't do that here. This is fucking America. I don't care if we don't believe in the government. We don't believe in any of that shit. It doesn't matter. The essence of America, of what it believes, what it means to be here, to have roots here, to have family that are from here, is freedom. We own this. You live free, you die free. This is our country. These are our rights. You have the right to defend yourself. No one gets to tell you. It's just another man. It's just another human being. They don't get to tell you. No one tells you. Just build them how you want. Do you see this? This is 12 and a half inches. Okay, clip this. Anybody you want. FBI, anything you want. This is 12 and a half inches. This is stock on it. Build how you want. These people are fascists. They don't dictate your life to you. They don't tell you. You tell them. That's how this works.
Say it louder for the motherfuckers in the back. In Japan, it's incredibly cumbersome to own a firearm.
Yeah,
You
it's generally near impossible.
Yeah, you generally have to be like a certified hunter for the country to do that, which even hunting is very, very hard to do in Japan. But that didn't stop somebody from manufacturing a firearm and killing the former prime minister and probably most influential political leader, assassinating him on the
Right in the
streets.
fucking streets.
Didn't stop that.
Right in the fucking streets.
Didn't stop that.
You know why? Because why would anybody ever hurt somebody? It's fucking Japan. Nobody can't shoot nobody here.
That's right.
Unless you build a pipe gun in your house like it's Fallout 4.
There's a really, really, really good Japanese movie called, I think it's called, oh shit, what's it called? Fuck. It's like Defend the Block or something like that, about this kind of roaming gang of misfits in Japan that they have this plan to essentially take over a gas station for a night. And because it's like you go in and you pump gas and then they hand you money and stuff like that. And then you go back inside. And so they kind of kidnap the owner, lock him up in there. And then they're like running the gas station all night, taking money. And another gang comes in to mess with them. And it turns into this giant fucking street fight thing. And they all have like 2x4s with nails and pipes and shit. And then they just fight each other for the whole movie. It's pretty fantastic. But you don't need guns to commit violence. And even if you're in a country with no guns, people are still going to get killed in violent crime. So like there's all that really does is hamper the innocent civilians' ability to defend their own life and the lives of the people around them.
Which no one has the right to do.
Nope. How many of these are there, by the way?
I think we're getting close to the end because this one is just a thing that they're saying now.
No longer willing to listen to the "it's my Second Amendment right" argument while body bags containing children are piled up in this country. Children who were in school trying to learn, in a grocery store, at a park, at a fair, at the movies. Children who were simply trying to grow up in the country that places more value on the amendment to the Constitution written in 1791 than it does the lives of citizens. Take action and demand that our lawmakers make passing common sense gun control laws a priority.
Go to the next one. Because that's not an argument. That's just a thing they said.
Contact your elected officials and ask them what they are doing to keep you and your loved ones safe from gun violence in this country. Wow. Find contact info, join or donate to the groups that are fighting to end gun violence. Gays Against Guns, Community Justice Action Fund, Brady, Giffords, Every Town for Gun Safety, March for Our Lives.
Some of the biggest liars and gun control advocates in this country.
Yeah. Because the Giffords Foundation was founded by
Gabby Giffords.
Gabby Giffords, who was shot at a political rally by every complete another psychopath.
Yeah, every town is, and Giffords is also why we have the magazine ban. Those all come from Gabbert's thing, because that guy had to stop and reload, and they're like, that's the only reason anybody had the opportunity to shoot him is because he had to stop and reload. That's the only reason anybody could have shot him is because he had to stop to reload. That's right. Also, if 9 people are shooting you at one time, one dude can only shoot one person at one time.
There you go. There you go.
That's that. I know you don't like that. I know you don't like that math. I know it's not good. There's 9 people all willing to shoot a person. One person can only shoot one person at one time. If 9 people shoot one person, someone is going to die for sure. At least one person is going to die, and it might be one of the 9 people, but it's almost definitely going to be the one guy.
That's some, 2 + 2 = 5 math right there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 9 bullets is more than 1.
Okay. So we've gone through these ridiculous arguments, right?
Yeah. Don't let these people fucking lie. You guys aren't going to let them. But now we've given you some very spirited and honest and, maybe a little bit emotional arguments to defeat some of this nonsense that you hear when it comes in the immediate aftermath.
So let's add another layer to this.
I love it.
And I'd like to pick your brain on this. So this is the secondary, let me ask you this question I had earlier today.
All right.
So hit the drop.
With that, let me ask you this. So whoever wrote that can get the fuck out of my country.
That's right.
I love it so much.
So gender dysmorphia, gender dysphoria is commonly referred to as a mental illness of some kind, according to the DSM, correct?
Yep.
They may have changed that recently, but
I think in the 5 it's not, but the 4 it was.
Yeah, the current argument is that it quite possibly is of some kind, right?
Yeah.
Some form of mental illness. Should mental illness bar you from fulfilling your Second Amendment right? And I have a video to go along with this, so we will play this. And I would like to get your take on it. This is Ben Shapiro making a statement and Blair White responding. Blair White, if we all don't know, is a transgender individual, so somebody that would be deemed to have a mental illness according to Ben Shapiro's argument.
Perfectly fine with banning people who suffer from gender dysphoria from purchasing weapons. That seems to me a pretty significant symptom of an
Wait a minute. Why is my audio not working? There we go.
Perfectly fine with banning people who suffer from gender dysphoria from purchasing weapons. That seems to me a pretty significant symptom of an underlying mental malaise that could theoretically be a problem in terms of owning firearms. But I don't think the left believes the same thing.
Really interesting. So Ben Shapiro, who has, throughout his career opposed red flag laws and has supposedly been so pro 2A. I want to say also, as someone who is truly pro 2A, if you are pro 2A and you put a but after that sentence, you're not pro 2A. And I don't know what kind of conservative is going to fix his mouth, Ben Shapiro, to be on camera saying, yes, the government should decide who is mentally ill enough to not own a gun. Yeah, because that'll never be abused. I'm sure it could never be a slippery slope into believing that being a conservative is a mental illness, or that voting for Trump is a mental illness, right? Or that believing in God is a mental illness, right? All those things on the right that are demonized by people on the left and communists. All of those things can be deemed a mental illness by a government that is given the power to do that. So I don't know if you really want that smoke, Ben.
So I think on the face, it's a pretty good argument. And at least, obviously, it's blah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the same way that Ben Shapiro claims that a trans woman cannot claim that they're a woman, you can't prove that God exists. So all this shit that you're doing because you're saying that God is watching you, you can't prove that exists. And if we're going off of if you can't prove it, then it's not real and you're hallucinating. What is your whole fucking life when you don't touch the TV on Saturdays? You're fucking hallucinating. And I'm not making that argument now, but if this is what we're gonna say, if that's the argument for barring trans people. So I saw the same type of arguments come from a lot of conservative people in the wake of this last shooting. It's like, we obviously, trans people shouldn't be allowed to buy guns anymore, and all these gun shop owners should take it upon themselves to deny them, guns when they go in there. That's a bad fucking call. That's a bad fucking call. everybody who owns a business can choose to do what they want. If you're going to choose to not sell a trans person a firearm because you think they have a higher likelihood of committing a shooting, that's a bad fucking call. That's an uninformed argument, and it's a bad goddamn call.
That seems like grounds for a lawsuit, to be perfectly honest, too.
I don't think that's a good idea. And I think it's the same when I was talking about making lists of the people of the trans shooters. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. When the shootings happen and it's a white guy who's living in his basement. Do you remember when we came up with the term fucking incel? This is the same fucking thing, right? An incel is not any more of a thing than you think that a trans woman is, right? That's a name that we give to a person who you think is fucked up in the head, okay? These are the same thing, right? And I mean, at this point, we're treating incels with therapy and stuff like that. I mean, they're more aligned to the same thing. And I'm not equating them, blah, 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 trans people are real. It's not any of that shit, right? But I'm talking about the way that we talk about them in the lexicon of the general way that we're talking about. You're saying that incels are mentally ill because they're seeing all this type of shit and they're whatever. Conservatives are claiming the same thing about the trannies. This is not a good call. This is not a good way to go about this, and to make this argument is not based.
Yes.
To start, it's not fucking based at all. It's definitely not cool.
Ben Shapiro not based?
Yeah,
no,
not at all. It's not in the spirit of equality of gun ownership.
No,
it's not. It's not good. I don't think that that's a good idea at all.
Yep. It's a better idea, I think, as Joseph says, to this is America, arm everyone.
Yeah,
I think that's a better argument.
Strapped.
Let's fucking go. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good take on that video. I just thought that was funny. When Blair White is calling out Ben Shapiro for saying some ignorant shit like that,
that's great.
That was great. That was great. Because, yeah, Blair White is a 2A absolutist and got some very base takes on guns. Huge fan.
I don't really listen to her shit.
Oh, yeah. She's interesting. You know, her content's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, every now and again you'll see a nice video hit the algorithm. I'm like, that sounds interesting. I'm going to listen to that.
I know that her and Malice kick it like
all the time.
Yeah.
They're like homies.
I saw Michael Malice post a picture the other day of the two of them in a bathroom. They're both in the same bathroom, and he said, "Which bathroom?"
Oh, that's good. I watched a live stream from Michael Malice yesterday. It's very good.
I love him.
It's been a while since he did that, but it was good. He basically just sits there and vamps for about 5 minutes till everybody gets in, and then just answers super chat questions for an hour. But mostly this one was based around the new book, The White Pill, which I purchased on audiobook. I haven't listened to it yet.
That would be a proper fanboy moment for you, I think, if I happened upon Michael Malice.
Oh
I don't know that I would know what to do with myself.
I'd probably lose my shit.
Yeah, and I think like most people, I would be very composed for it. But that's wild. Like that dude's famous. You know, it's like it's a crazy experience. But there are a few people that I think I would be really like geeked about. But I think if I came up on Michael Malice, I would really lose my shit a little bit. Yeah.
Like, bro, you opened my eyes over into the world of anarchy.
Yes.
You've kind of fucked me up for life on that. So I appreciate that, buddy.
You've actually genuinely impacted my life in a serious way.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to, you know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Would have a hard time not like gushing about it, you know, because you don't want to do that. You meet a famous person, they don't want you to do that. They would like want to be chill. But I don't know that I could just be like, thank you, and then like walk away. Like I don't think that I could handle that. I think I would end up saying way too much stuff.
Yeah, I'd be like, I can't. I just gotta. Yeah. That's cool. He's over there. I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna keep walking. Right. I'd be like, dude, I saw Michael Malice today.
Right. Might just have to not talk to him at all. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh. Is there a particular influencer, I guess, just to use the term loosely, that you would most want to kick it with? Off the top of your head, don't think too hard about it.
Influencer, just like a person that I watch on the internet a lot?
Yeah. I mean, it's loose. You fill in whatever you think you want.
Internet person.
Yeah. Or author or whatever.
Man. I think I would like enjoy kicking it with, you know, like Garantham. Like that would be a lot of fun to be on like the range for a day. I think would be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But I also think it would be too much almost to hang out with like Mark Norman or anyone like that. I don't know I could keep up with that. You know, that's a level of drinking that I don't know that I'm prepared to commit to.
That's so because I'm like, I'd hang out with Bertie Bert.
Yeah,
That'd be fucking fucking Christ dog.
Maybe
That'd be
Segura.
wild.
You know, I think I might kick it with Tyler. That would be a very chill, very relaxed. Like we would just end up getting food. You know, we would just eat dinner, and that would be a very chill experience.
Yeah.
I think I would be into that.
That would be fun. That would be
and
fun.
then to go to something afterwards, to I don't know, a cigar room or something, and just have a couple beers, hang out a little bit.
That's a
Theo Vaughn.
Theo.
Oh shit!
Fuck, that'd be dope.
Yes,
That would be super dope.
because
then
he
we'd be
doesn't get
talking
too
about like
he doesn't get too wild, you know. But it would be retarded
would be,
hilarious.
yeah.
I mean, absolutely side-splitting hilarious.
I think I need to break this down more to be like, okay, so fill in an influencer or a personality of some kind that you know, and it would be dinner, bar, cigar lounge.
Okay.
Who would you rather have dinner with? Who would you like go into a bar and be like, oh, fucking homie sits down next to you?
Yeah.
Or,
hang out okay, but don't try to keep up. Yeah.
Exactly. Or hang out in a cigar lounge just fucking kicking it. Because that's when shit gets philosophical. The
Right.
weed might come out. Nobody really knows. It's a cigar lounge. There's smoke flying. Conversations are happening.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. We need to think about that one. We need to think about
then
that
I
one.
think probably Gillis, because Gillis is a part of the thing I was just thinking about this the other day that I appreciate about him is just the stuff that he's into and how that influences the comedy and stuff, the historical background and those type of like, I really appreciate those things. Sports a ton, you know.
It's obviously an evolving concept, Kevin. Give me a fucking break here. Colin went from don't think about it too much to let me break this down.
Yeah. I think I would really enjoy that, you know.
Yeah.
Because that would still be pretty. You could talk about a lot of stuff and still keep it pretty light.
Mm-hmm.
It would hang out with someone like Joe Rogan once you got over the initial wildness. It's just really heavy. I think the level of conversation is not a casual kicking it type of thing. You know, not that he's not capable of just hanging out because he's a regular person. I'm sure he is, but also if I'm hanging out with Joe Rogan, I almost want to talk about some wild, deep stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I like Joe Rogan's not even on my list, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Like I see him in like other things on occasion, and he always kind of feels like I feel like he doesn't necessarily want to be there, or he's kind of short with some people and stuff like this. Like the man is so busy, he's just doing the things that he does.
Yeah.
And if you're in the circle of his world of what he's doing, you kick it, you do all these things. I'm like, I don't know if he'd be the best hang.
Right.
Unless if we sat down to do like a podcast, that would be fantastic type of thing where you're there to have a conversation with him. But like if I ran into him in the wild, I'm like, I don't know if I'd really kick it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
no,
because
I think,
it would be awkward.
Right.
I think. You know.
I think Gillis. I think Gillis would be.
Yeah, Shane Gillis would be fucking money. Yeah. So they start talking about Trump moms and shit, or Fox News moms.
Yeah.
Like word. Funny how most of these people are all comedians,
Yes.
right? That's where the mind goes. Because they seem like fun fucking people.
Yeah, I've seen some hot ones and stuff like that. Some of those regular celebrities seem pretty cool.
Yeah. Anna Kendrick. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Dinner with Anna Kendrick. No, cigar lounge with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
We're hanging out.
Yeah.
We're smoking some weed. Shit's getting real deep.
Big fat blunt.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm thinking drinks at the bar with Dave Rubin. I feel like he'd be a really fun guy to hang out with
for
and
sure.
get some drinks in and
For
just
sure.
fucking fuck around. That'd be great. What about Peter Zia? No, dude. I don't want it like my whole world crushed to be like the world's ending, but don't worry.
Kill myself at the end.
I'm like, fuck no, dude. Hard fucking no. It would be mind bending, yeah, but then I would just curl up in the fetal position and cry. Not into that. Not into that at all.
No.
Oh, all right. Enough fucking around. Let's get it
Okay.
together here. Let's get it together. I switched from my things.
Yeah.
So now
Okay, so let's talk about some other little things that I heard about.
Okay.
One of them is the trans rights or else shirt, right? And so this is kind of a gateway trans rights or else t-shirts.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of a gateway into some other stuff that we could talk about, some
Okay.
bigger things, right? The t-shirts is another one of these don't do this is a bad idea thing, right? Sharing the images of people in these shirts. Dude, it's the 2A people. We're wearing shirts that are saying, you know, fucking Molon the Bay and like all this type of stuff. Like this is the same thing. These shirts are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're the exact same thing. So trying to show these people in images of these things when you are wearing plate carriers with, you know, Blackbeard's flag and all this shit, this is the same fucking thing. It's not helpful. It doesn't add anything, and it doesn't make you look good by trying to make these arguments of these people are obviously dangerous. Look at the clothes that they're wearing when they're holding these guns. That's not a good argument.
It was, what's that group that was marching during like BLM that were all strapped?
It's the John Brown Gun Club.
It was John Brown Gun Club.
And so they have chapters all over the place. And that's
Similar
something
type of
else.
situation, I thought
Yes.
there. It's like
It's-
you're not making. I'm like, word, that looks good.
Yes. So that's something else that I want to talk about because there are some people, and I'll send you these tweets. I have the link, so I'll just send you the link. And
I'm so proud of you. You're sending me tweets now.
yeah, because Andy No was covering it.
Oh yeah.
And his stuff was that some of these groups, some of these people in the John Brown Gun Club were saying that this shooting was a false flag. This one at the
Christian
school. And
It's never a good jump immediately.
so one of these guys is from the John Brown Gun Club, and before his account got suspended, or maybe I went to his shit. I went somewhere, but his
You
I
hear
was like, what the fuck is that? That really scared the shit out of me. One of these guys, the Elm Fork John Brown Gun Club. So go ahead and click on their page. It's like on the right hand side, the 3 pages that it recommends, the
right.
bottom one. Yeah. Because it says in there,
I gotta pee.
we are helping marginalized communities in organizing community defense against white supremacist fascism, guns training, backup account. And it said somewhere.
Oh, it's a backup account. Look at that. They've already been pulled down.
Yeah, and it said somewhere, not a militia. And I'm trying to remember, maybe it was on the original account or something, but I read somewhere they specified not a militia, like we aren't a militia. So I'm trying to understand what's the difference between an organization for community defense and a militia.
Nothing.
Because
Technically.
that sounds like it's the same thing to me.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to get on the FBI watch list. That's what that says. That goes, no. We're on the right side of this, guys. We're not one of those. We're fighting white supremacy. We all know
the same
militias are
thing.
white supremacists, so we can't use that same language. That's what that says to me.
The militia is you and I. We are the militia.
Indeed.
As it always has been since the founding of the country. We are the militia.
Yes.
I don't remember the exact quote because it's in old English. It's a little bit fucked up, you know, but it's like who is the militia if not you and I? You know, it's like something like that.
Works.
It's we are the militia. These people are very silly, and you're correct. They're trying to not be put on some type of list that they're quite obviously on. One of these images
You got this.
that they shared, the Elm Fork John Brown Gun Club, was a quote tweet of the security camera footage from the Nashville shooting, and it's the shooter kind of walking through one of the hallways, and they said this person moves like a cop, which, first of all, if you've seen the images, they don't. That person, the shooter, did not move like a cop. They move like an idiot who wants to look cool when they're going through when they're going through a building. They're not cool, and they don't look cool, and they don't look official. And this guy, yeah, I wish I could find when it said not a militia, but
It might be on there. Might be on their main account.
yeah,
like
that's
you're
all
talking
right.
about.
It doesn't matter. But these are the same thing. A militia and this thing they're calling a community defense group is the exact same thing. If you're out and you're in a plate
100%.
carrier and you're carrying firearms, you're a militia. I don't know. You don't have to have a name and be organized to have a militia. Me and my friends don't have a name. We don't have a name for our group. Not even the John Brown Gun Club. We're just dudes, like, you know, guys that I can call if I need help.
That's right.
That's it. That's a militia. It doesn't need to be organized any more than I know dudes. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, any more organization than that is sometimes a bad idea. A militia will be armed and ready when we are needed. Right. And that's
Yep.
what it sounds like fucking John Brown Gun Club are. It's armed and ready when they're needed. So that's
Yep.
what I don't understand is how are you not a militia, bitch?
Sorry, bitch. You are.
You might not like it, and some other people might not like it either. They might not want to call you one. I don't know what else we would call you. because a community defense group is a silly sounding name. That sounds like the
PC,
guardian
bro.
angels. That's like people who walk around and don't carry guns. You're
carry-
ready to shoot somebody, right?
Or carry whistles.
Yeah, you're a militia, dog. You're getting down. That's okay. That's all right.
It's all right. It's
Yeah.
all right. You know, do the Book Boys call themselves a
Right.
militia?
You have dumb patches, right? You have a patch on your kit that says "ouch pouch." So you're a militia. You have dumb stuff. You're wearing a concealed inside the waistband holster, and you have your shirt tucked behind it so people know you're carrying. You're an idiot, but you're doing it.
That's
you know?
right. Masked up, baby.
So
be ready.
you're smart enough to have a tourniquet. I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing it. So it's all right. Just accept it, bro. You're a
Is
militia.
that a Marine patch? I mean, is that a Marine T-shirt he's wearing? It looks kind of like a
I don't know.
symbolism of a Marine.
I don't know.
Don't know.
But this guy's a member of the Washington chapter.
Oh, there's no fucking surprise there. Ah, there it is. We found it.
There it is. It was on their main page, not a militia. What's the difference, I ask you? Occupied Comanche land. Also, they're making sure that they say that they're unoccupied land.
Oh, well, you know, there's that.
Yeah. Begin every day recognizing you don't own the land that you live on. Okay.
Recognize your privilege, all right?
Yeah. So
Or else John Brown gonna come for you.
So there's that.
John Brown was a murderer, correct?
I don't know, actually. I
think-
think we did talk about it during like Black Lives Matter,
I'm
but I
pretty
don't-
sure he murdered slave owners. That
Yeah.
was like his whole thing. He'd go up to him and just blow him away, and then
There you
became
go.
a fugitive, and so on and so forth.
So there was also a bunch of talks of hate speech.
Hate
From
speech.
conservatives saying that, you know, this is hate speech because they're like, we're being targeted now as Christians. There was a lot of like lefty reversism that happened with the conservatives when this happened. That they're like, we're the victims now.
Yes.
And we're going to own that.
Yeah.
Even though we've been shitting on victimhood agenda and mentality for the last however long.
Yeah.
Now that it's come around, we're prepared to make these same arguments. So
It's not working.
it was, but it was all wound up.
I was like, "What are you doing?"
So,
Yes,
and I found that to be very odd.
it never ceases to surprise me anymore when something happens and the outrage culture on the right takes over, and then the bad takes come.
It's like they can't help it.
No, and it's this, like you said before, it's the same problem that like comes from like the leftists. It's the same issue. It's just like this is their issue, so now it's their turn to be offended by it. And I don't know, like I've heard arguments either way, like it's you got to use their own tactics against them. You know, you have to speak in their language so you can get convertees to understand it. I don't necessarily think any of those things are correct. I don't necessarily know the answer at that point, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having principles and then falling back to your principles to give takes on whatever is happening. I think the minute you sacrifice your principles to get a emotional take, you're doing wrong already.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Ben Shapiro talking about trying to say mental illness should stop you from owning a gun. Like that's you obviously don't have a principled stance on the Second Amendment, like you say you do, because that is an unprincipled point.
Right.
You know, it's the language is very clear. We've talked about it multiple times. You yourself have talked about it multiple times. Shall not be infringed. You have stood on that hill multiple times before, but now that you find something that you agree with in other ways, you're like, well, we'll look past first principles on this one, and then we're going to go deeper into this one because they don't deserve their Second Amendment rights, but
Right.
you know, but we do.
Even now, you have to check that you're not like addicted to weed or any other illicit substances
Yeah.
so that you can buy a gun.
Yep. Throw Hunter Biden in jail.
Yeah. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Yeah.
I'm not one for locking people in boxes, but you know, don't throw out guns in a dumpster.
Yeah.
That should be like a criminal crime right there because you're abusing the gun. Don't get rid of the gun.
Them shits are expensive.
Exactly. I mean, there's needy people out there. Don't throw it away, Hunter. Give it to me. I'll take it.
Just bought a pistol
I'll pay the
last week.
$45 for the transfer, whatever
Yeah.
it costs. You know, I let's go, buddy. Don't be throwing that shit in a dumpster.
I just bought a pistol last week. They're not cheap, dog.
Not even a little bit.
They're not cheap.
So I think what's really interesting about this whole thing, I think
Assault
this is
weapons
the wrong
ban.
one.
Excuse me.
Ooh, do you want to hear our illustrious Alejandro Mayorkas take on what an assault rifle is?
He has plenty of your money.
Since we're, he has plenty of your money. Amen. Since we're in the spirit of 2A and assault weapons.
Mayorkas, huh?
Yeah, this the world's biggest piece of shit. Got another great clip of him for the grab bag with,
He really
with
is
Ted
a piece
Cruz.
of trash.
Secretary, do you agree with the president that we should ban?
Oh, I should probably switch the bad producer. Bad producer. There we go. Now you guys can see what we're doing. I'll just blow this up.
Secretary, do you agree with the president that we should ban the private
Is
ownership?
his tie brown?
Is it brown and blue, or is it golden? I don't know, man. It's probably like.
Why don't I'm trying to make
I
sure
don't
it's
know.
not red? Is what like.
Oh, it
what
is.
that
Check. It
it's
is
actually
not
brown.
Yeah, it appears to be
Okay.
brown. It might be some kind of like brassy looking
Okay.
thing, but it's a bad choice. I'll say
Sometimes
that
I
much.
can't tell, and that's
Yeah,
the one
yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm like, that might be red. I don't know.
That's right. I was
make
giving you
sure.
shit for a minute. I was like,
Yeah.
wait,
I'm trying to make
motherfucker may
sure.
not know.
Because brown and blue is a weird choice. Like that's why I want
Yeah.
to know is because that's an odd choice.
Yeah,
Brown and blue.
I think the brownish color is just from like lighting effect. I think it's
just
probably
washed out.
Yeah.
Assault weapons in America.
Senator, I do.
What is an assault weapon?
This is my new favorite thing, by the way. Is
They never know.
when there's like a we need to ban this, we need to ban that. Just go, what is this?
They never
and they
know.
go, well, it's Matt Walsh started
it's-
something with that.
Then that's isn't it? It's something. I don't want to keep saying interesting and shocking, and whatever, but it's something
Fascinating.
that if you ask the most basic fucking question, they can't answer it.
Yeah.
They are unable to. Say no. I just
wanna know.
before we continue, I want to know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
so we can have an accurate discussion. I'm just trying to define the terms. What is this?
Yep.
They don't fucking know. They do not know what to do, and
No.
that is so crazy.
Well, watch his reaction. And he knows he's got him dead to rights too. He's like, look at that shitting grin
And
on
these
his face.
conservatives, you ask them, what is a baby? And they're like, dog, as soon as it's together, that's a baby.
That's right.
They know.
They know what they-
know for
that's
sure.
right.
Like this is what I'm talking about.
It is, for example, an AK-47.
Can you give me a definition other than just pointing to a specific weapon?
Yeah,
Would
that
there
was a good
be
try.
other
Example
weapons
was try. That was a good try.
besides an AK-47 you would ban?
There very well are. And I remember when I was a federal prosecutor in the Central District of California from September 25th, 1989 to, I believe it was April 2001.
Fuck up.
And I thank you for your
all of
service.
Thank you for your service. I love Kennedy, dude. He's so funny.
But if you
all
could
of the
answer
law
my
enforcement, the vast majority of law enforcement officers, leaders with whom I worked were greatly in support of the assault weapons
Mr.
ban.
Chairman, you know
because of-
why we get so frustrated with you? Because you won't give straight answers.
I think I just did.
No, you didn't.
I think I just did.
What is an assault weapon? Well, back when I was a prosecutor, all the cops that I worked with agreed with the assault weapons ban.
Yeah.
That was your answer to the question.
And
so,
then you're willing to say, I think I just did give a straight answer. You're
so
trash.
AK-47s are assault rifles or assault weapons, and a bunch of cops you worked with agreed with the assault weapons ban. None of those things answer what is an assault weapon. So I had to show you that. It's classic.
They don't know.
let's
They do. They really don't know.
They do not. We are not going to get to the Restrict Act today. I can feel it in my bones.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
No, I don't think it is either. I think it's enough of this has gone on. I did want to point out, just because we've been on gun violence, transgenderism.
This was a wild one.
This was
a
wild
one.
because this right after the shooting took place, within days at this point, people are asking questions. They're pushing for an assault weapons ban, and they're pushing for gun control, and the shit in Tennessee's popping off. And you'd assume that the White House would have public statements of remorse for these kids that got killed or something like this, but the general tenor
Instead,
of
Biden's out there doing stand-up.
Yeah, we saw that. That was a rough time. But this is generally the tenor of what's been coming out from the White House at this point.
More than 50% of transgender youth in the U.S., which is estimated to be more than 150,000 kids, live in states in which transgender youth have lost access to or at risk of losing access to gender-affirming care. Look, this is awful news. Let's be very clear about that. LGBTQI plus kids are...
She didn't even know. She got to check.
Yeah, she forgot the A, by the way.
She doesn't even know.
And if you're in Canada, you got to put the 2S in front, too.
resilient.
Bitch.
They are fierce. They fight back. They're not
they
going anywhere. And we have their back. This administration has their back.
This is the message
Hold
from the
on.
White House. This was from a couple days ago. Within a week and a half of this shooting taking place. General tenor is relatively important, I feel. Especially when we're talking about these types of things. That's Trump indictment stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
what
that
are
the
you
only one I
doing
really
right
have?
now, man?
Oh, fuck. Boo! Are they all gone? Maybe they're in another tab. We'll be right back to the computer screen in a second.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back
Not
with
here,
that. This is pathetic and infuriating. Can confirm.
That's really bad. Yeah, that's really,
And-
really bad.
And there's lots of other takes like that. That's Afghanistan. Kirby. Son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
he said some wild stuff too, huh?
Oh, yeah. We're going to love that stuff.
These guys are all pieces of shit. You know that?
All of them.
Yeah.
Let's
It's not
see.
unique to this administration, but this one's just really bad.
Yes.
A lot of real bad stuff.
State affiliated media. God, where did I put this thing? Grab bag stuff. You're getting a slight preview. I thought I had a bunch more. Okay, so maybe I don't. No. Nope. You don't get to see that.
All right.
You don't get to see that. We're getting there. That's for a couple more beers from now.
I love it.
Let me just do a quick search because I thought I had a gang of these. This would be Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's a little out of context for Tennessee.
Okay.
After the gun control fucking insurrection down there. The Biden
that was-
administration has made it there.
I'm still parsing that one out too. I'm still trying to understand that
That's
one.
a rough deal, dude.
Because there were some ruckus with the police, right?
Here's that tweet I was talking about in part one. The HBO actors from Last of Us, Pedro Pascal got paid $600,000 per episode, and Bella Ramsey only got paid $70,000.
I would be
per
interested
episode.
to know how many hours on screen they have between the two of them. Not on the show, I mean in their careers.
Oh yeah, I think there would be a drastic difference.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe I don't have a lot of these things. I thought I had a bunch more, but my
Green
bookmarks list
Jean-Pierre.
is very long this week. Okay, so we saw that one. Should be around here if they're there. Sometimes you bookmark things and they just surprisingly disappear.
They don't actually bookmark.
Yeah. Getting close. We'll know if they're there in the next. Oh, yeah, there's all the boycotts of the beers.
My God. People are funny.
Oh, yeah, that's that cop making that that point there. Okay, no, we're moving on.
Dude, he did did operate in there, that's for sure.
Oh, that's the NPR clip. Nope. 34 felony charges. No, for fuck's sakes, Cream Jean-Pierre. You talk so much that I lose your shit.
Yeah.
And I think we officially tapped that one out. National Guard seizure automatic weapons. Here, let's listen to this one. This is about gun control. I don't remember this one, but I think it's. I think it's.
The last
good.
presidential campaign, one of the Democratic contenders said that what he would do is come for AR-15s. Does the president support not just banning the sale and manufacture of semi-automatic weapons, but further than that, confiscation?
Let me just be very clear. What we're talking about, AR-15s, these assault weapons ban, they are weapons of war, and they should not be on the streets across the country, in our communities. They should not be in schools.
That's not
They should
the right
be
answer.
In grocery stores. They should not be in churches. That's what the president believes.
That's what the president believes. You shouldn't be on the streets. They're weapons of war.
As a response to what do you think about confiscation?
That says
You say they shouldn't be on the streets.
that's right.
That's not the right answer.
No, that means soft yes. We believe in confiscation. I can't say that, but what I can say is I don't believe they should be anywhere.
Do you know? Do you know how many people will die? Do you have? I mean,
So many. It'd be pretty rough. But, there'd be people like you and me and most of the actual 2A community, not the NRA community or the gun lobbyist community. There'd be actual 2A supporters and 2A absolutists that would be like, yeah, I lost him in a boating accident. Sorry.
I would sooner send my wife and children to another home, ensure my life insurance is paid, and then board up my fucking doors than turn them over to any bootlicking pig motherfucker that wants to come to my house and try and take it.
That's right. Moulin Lob? Lob? Shit.
Moulin Le Bay.
Le Bay. There we go. I don't speak Latin. Yep. So, good times. Good times.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, good luck taking those motherfuckers. It'll never happen. There's no fucking way that would ever happen.
They know precisely the facts that I have just stated. Is an innumerable amount of people will die. They couldn't even begin to estimate the losses that they would incur if they tried to just start going door to door, because they would have to just we just need to go through anybody who has a transaction at a gun store that is large enough that it is reasonable to assume that it is a firearm, or anybody who has a firearm registered to them. These are the things that we will do.
Yeah.
And they will just go to everybody's house and say, we happen to have a list of things that say that you own a firearm, and we need to, the same way they did with the triggers, same way with things,
Yep.
And we would just see how seriously they wanted to take that,
Yeah, because no amount of cover-up from the corporate press could actually cover that up. Not with social media anymore.
It's not worth it. I would live stream it.
Yeah, this is why they are so focused on gun control and don't necessarily push gun confiscation, because nobody wants any part of the fallout of that. They don't. They want everybody to willingly be convinced to hand over their firearms, but there's never a point at which confiscation will happen unless we've turned it. I mean, there'd be plenty of other worse things that would go down before that was attempted, and we'd already be in the shit, and then they probably wouldn't have the manpower or organizational infrastructure to make that happen anyways.
No.
So I don't think I ain't losing any sleep over that.
I don't think this will happen. Be prepared for the worst, is what I would say.
Yep. Better to have it and not need it, right?
Have a gas mask. Have some type of air filter for your face that will last you at least a short period of time, is something that I would say.
There you go.
I got a basement,
Got a basement. Yeah.
Got to be able to breathe when the canisters come rolling down the steps.
Yeah. For a hot minute.
At least give yourself some time.
Yeah.
Go out like a fucking warrior.
Well, like most.
Don't roll over and die. Die free. Go out like a warrior.
Go out like a warrior, baby. And I think we should go out like a warrior for this segment.
I like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll come back. We'll talk about Trump. We'll talk about Ukraine, and
we'll just continue the secondhand morosity.
This was really good, guys. I think we made a lot of good progress here today, and a lot of really good things.
It was kind of a struggle session, but it's fine.
A lot of really positive notes here.
Amen.
So, with that, we will be back in just a few minutes for part 3 of episode 145 of Salt of the Streets. My name is Donovan.
I am indeed that big bird-looking fellow they call Colin.
We have been having a great time. Make sure that you like this, share with your friends, comment, subscribe, do all the things. The sponsor for this segment, I don't know that I ever picked one from the beginning. Location Skate Shop. It's fantastic. It's a great store. Go there, buy a skateboard if you're in town. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter, at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both those things. You can find all this at saltofthestreets.com, including our Instagram and YouTube, which are also at Salt of the Streets.
Boom.
We love you guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat.